This is the famous 4-speed top-loader transmission with a Hurst Competition Plus shifter attached to it.
No way!
The 3 small black levers with a hole on it on the side of the transmission are what actually shifts gear. They all have 3 different positions except for the central one, which is the reverse. The 2 ones on the side are respectively the 3 and 4 gear and the 1-2. Each one of those needs to be attached to the 3 gates under the shifter. This will allow the movements of the shifter to be transferred into the proper gear. Instead of buying these shifting rods kit from Holly or buying used online, I wanted to see if I could make my own custom set of shifting rods with mild steel and attach them with a Heim joint, also called a bearing rod end. My theory is that it would remove any wiggling or looseness on these joints, as originally they were simply a pin with a bushing locked by a G-clip. So I went to see my friend Olivier in his workshop, and I just used some 3/8 of an inch mild steel rods that he had laying around, which is exactly the same diameter as the original Hurst shifter linkage. I'm really not sure it's gonna be worth it, but I still want to try it because I'm cheap and I like to try new things. But mostly because I'm cheap. As you can see, I'm neither a machinist or an engineer. So it was quite a lot of back and forth trying to figure out which way to bend these rods in a way that when you shift they don't interfere with each other. Alright, so we've got our 4 rods here bent. We've taken some 3/8 rods because initially Hurst used that diameter. I've made 4 of them because I'm not sure still if I'm going to use the lower reverse or the higher one, and then I'm going to thread it. But first we need to harden that steel. First we have to harden that steel because in that state here you can easily bend it with your hand. I have never done this before. I've just Googled how to do it. We have a propane torch. So the idea is to heat the whole rod until it gets to a glowing orange, and then we're going to quench it in this bucket of water, and then let it cool down, and then it's going to go in my oven at 375 Fahrenheit for 3 hours. Let's see how it goes. Better days are coming.
that's hot. Oh, that's hot, hot, hot.
Many unbearable hours later.
In order to get the right temperature, I needed to use a constant air supply to the fire.
It is hot. We're finally getting hot.
In this case, I used my small turbine paint sprayer without any attachment to the end.
I went down, 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 and the flames went higher, and it turned.
You could also use a leaf blower or the blowing outlet of a shop vac. Oh yeah. Woo. That was a hot fire.
Thanks, Captain Obvious.
Now it's supposed to be in a brittle state, so that's why we temper it in the oven to reduce some of its hardness, but to allow a lot more flexibility so that it doesn't break upon some hard impact or under stress. If you want to do this at home, you definitely can. You don't need to spend over $300 for a rod kit. In the 5 years that we've been living in this house, I've never been able to get a nice green front grass, despite how many times I would put some grass seeds, watering, and repeat the same thing every year. There's always something that happens in the middle of summer that turns everything brown and dead. There was also a little bit too much topsoil on the front yard, so I rented a mini excavator and had fun like a 12-year-old. While it didn't look like much at first, I still had to do 8 trips with my pickup truck to clear all that topsoil. So for the rear valance, what I first did is establish my center line here. That will tell me exactly where my center screw will go. I have this kit that's part of the AMK Master body kit. All these holes here on the top of the rear valance are held in by these tiny screws. First drill in that little lip you see here, and that will allow me to screw my first screw, and from there I'm going to drill both screws that are on the outside, and then I will work out the edges, because as you know, these panels usually don't fit perfectly, and this one I can already tell I'll need to add something so that it really closes good. There's a nice gap here. You don't want to have like almost a 1/4 inch opening. Now I can already tell by the look of it that this side is going to be way better. I'm going to work out that curve here and grind that edge, but all around it's looking already pretty decent. On this side though, on the right side, it's almost 1/2 inch of opening here, and all the way down it merges, it touches. So the angle isn't quite right, but the weird thing is that this quarter panel is original. The other one is the new one that I installed, and it's way better on the new one, which I would totally have expected the opposite. So what I'm going to do is probably have to change the shape so that curve here remains the same, and add some material here to fill the gap. Now I'm going to use a center punch to basically center punch all my holes here, so that my bit, when I drill through these, I'm not deviating. This was a cheap spring-loaded center punch. I bought another one, I'm still waiting on it, so right now this one is broken, but I'm going to use it like a normal punch with a hammer. Here's what it looks like now, after maybe about 45 minutes of adding material, grinding and correcting along the way. And I have a couple of other pieces that I just received. These will also be coated with a quick coat of epoxy primer. So from the left to right we have the outer front bumper brackets, the inner front bumper brackets, and on the far right this is the 69, the front grille bracket. I have to go with the 69 because of course we have a 69 front.
That's what she said. Or he said.
First I'm going to see if my squares here, which are where the bolts are going, are actually aligned with where the bumpers are, where the bumpers should be. And it looks like spacing is pretty good. I think the easiest method to get the angle correct would be to cut that section, open it up, and then wedge a piece of sheet metal and then weld it back up with the right angle. I don't know what is causing this. It seems like the new taillight panel that I have has a negative angle that's too steep. And those brackets are already made that the wings here have an angle. It sucks because it's a brand new piece. I don't know why they make it like that. I know some people I have seen have the bumper sagging like that, and it's doesn't look pretty good. I don't want to have a saggy bumper. I want to have a firm bumper. No! So I've opened it up with a tack. It's opened probably too much, but I'm going to work it as I go and close it out, then cut out my middle piece.